Hello everybody, welcome back. Sorry it took so long. I had the script written and all the footage, but school got me locked in, you know. Anyways, y'all subscribed last video, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And here's tier 2. For the new people watching, I recommend you watch a tier 1 video as I really go in depth on how the tanks are like reviewed. But to save your time, I'll just give a brief explanation. I'm going to be taking full sets of vehicle like the hull, turret, and the gun, and reviewing the full set as well as each part in their own respective tier. After that, I'll give you a verdict whether to buy them or not, with a short explanation as to why afterwards. With the introduction to the second tier of the game, down tiering is now possible. Guns are now slightly more lethal and we get to see our first high caliber weapons. Armor in this tier plays a bigger role, it's still kinda useless though. Tier 2 is like tier 1, but everything is just slightly better. The first vehicle we'll be reviewing today is the UE-57. The hull of this vehicle is pretty sad, I'm not gonna lie. Its speed is mid, the armor basically ain't there, which ain't good because machine guns kinda just flourish here, they pop there everywhere. The reload is low, but pretty high for the tier. It is a tier 1 casemate, meaning that both the turret and the hull is tier 1, even though it only has a hull option. That means you are able to put a tier 3 gun on it. That's kind of the only thing going for it. This sad vehicle actually does get a pretty fire cannon. The 57mm UE is like top of the podium for best usable guns in tier 2. This thing spits out extremely high velocity APHE round. That's pretty good for sniping. The AP round is mid, but since it's like AP, you can wall pen with it. Now, here are the pros. Good mobility, amazing reload, amazing firepower. The cons: no turret, no armor, exposed crew. Verdict: I would avoid it. The hull, I'd avoid it. The turret, not in game. Gun, I'd get it. The gun is amazing. The hull, it just ain't it for tier 2. You probably do better putting the gun on like the full speedster set or anything with a turret, honestly. Alright, moving on, we have the LTD3. This is just an L3 but with a upper glacis. The extra weight kinda just slows it down. Like, this thing makes my grandma look like an athlete. But not only that, but it is so loud. Your situation awareness is going to be dropped to 0, and you might as well just be a speaker telling everybody to claim you as a free kill. You're just a beacon at this point. Its anti-armor doesn't even help it that much. The paired gun, however, has one of the most lethal APH rounds to exist, next to the big 152 for a tier 3. If you penetrate someone, it's probably going to go kaboom from the explosive mass. The gun does have a longer reload, but it's not too bad. Pros: good firepower. Cons: freaking everything else. Verdict: I would avoid it personally. Hull, avoid it. Turret, it doesn't have one. The gun, I would get it. It's awesome. Obviously, screw the hull, but the gun is nice for people looking for those clean one-shot kills. Moving on to the next vehicle, the Sarc. One of the first wheeled vehicles you may set your eyes upon in the shop. The Sarc is an incredibly nimble hull, except in reverse because it's British and they're just like this. Fixed with an agile turret with great traverse speeds. Although all this speed and agility unfortunately comes with the drawback of having like no armor. The turret also kind of has a doo-doo reload multiplier since it's paired with a 40mm. The 40mm QF2 is great in tier 1, but here it's kind of mid. Alright, now for the pros: amazing mobility, good turret traverse. The cons: terrible armor, poor reload, poor firepower. Verdict: I would consider it. Hull, I'd get it. The turret, I would avoid it. The gun, I would avoid it. The hull is really the only thing worth it of this build. You can find better options for the turret and gun. Moving on, the next vehicle is the Crusader. One of the first medium tanks you'll unlock. This is really just a light tank with like a really fast 0 to 60. It accelerates crazy fast. Its top speed is kind of doo-doo though. Its armor doesn't really work against the big guns. Only really against autocannons. It can only really stop autocannons. The turret ain't bad. I mean, 60mm of armor all around. The traverse rate's pretty good. The reload, it's pretty sad, but as like almost everything in this tier. The tank's main armor is the 40mm QF2 again, same gun as the Sarc. It's poo-poo, yeah, we already know. The pros? Amazing acceleration, good turret traverse. Cons, mediocre armor, poor firepower. Verdict, I would consider it. Hull, get it. Turret, get it. Gun, I'd avoid it. If you keep dying to autocannons because you like suck or something, but don't want to be like giga fat and have armor, I don't know, use this. This one's gonna be quick. There's not really much to talk about. The M22, this American box is fast, but that's basically all it's got going for it. The armor kind of sucks. The turret on the other hand has some top tier armor though. Like this is a top tier round from like a railgun and it's just soaking it up. Like jokes aside though, it's pretty bad. The gun is the tier 1 American 37mm. It was already bad in the first tier, but in the second tier, it's just not even worth using. The pros, decent mobility. Freaking vibranium turret cheek over here. The cons, poor armor. Slow turret traverse, poor firepower. Verdict, I would avoid it. Hull, honest, the whole thing, I just avoid it. The hull should be tier 1. I have absolutely no idea why it's tier 2. It's not tier 2 worthy. Next up here is the Humber. This is another early tier 2 wheeled vehicle. This vehicle is just like the better Sarc, but a little bit better. It has the same speed. It actually reverses. It has better armor and reload. Actually, its armor is so good it can stop like most autocannons rounds frontally. The turret speed is like the only downside of this thing. It's pretty slow. For the most part, the vehicle is autocannon proof unless you kind of like a down tier, tier 3 20mm. Which has the extra pen allows it to just kind of go through this like butter. There are two guns paired with this vehicle, the 37mm M6 and the 15mm ZB53. Since the 30 is boring, it's already on like 30 other vehicles, I'll just ignore it. I use the 15mm in this review. The autocannon is decent despite being a tier 1. It is a challenge to deal with the more armor targets frontally, and it overheats kind of quick, but it do got the fire rate though. The pros, amazing mobility. Cons, mediocre armor, poor firepower. Verdict, I get it. The hull, oh yeah, get this whole vehicle is just a get turret, get it, gun, consider it. This thing is just so fun. It's amazing. I 100% recommend it, even if you're new. You can probably fit like a more punchy gun depending on what you want. A tank, like a light tank destroyer or something. But anyways, moving on, we have the T60. This is just like the Russian M22, but it actually kind of has armor. The hull is pretty slow for its size. Armor-wise, the plate is quite juicy and thick. It does cover a good portion of the hull, but it also has pretty big weak spots. So just good and bad armor coverage, I guess. One of them is being the entire turret. The turret is straight just dog water doo-doo poo-poo. Horrible reload, bad armor, and it doesn't really have great traverse. The paired 20mm TN is pretty enjoyable. It's one of the best autocannons in the tier. I had a blast playing it. I highly recommend it. Pros, good firepower, low profile. Cons, poor mobility, poor armor. Verdict, consider it. Hull, consider it. Turret, avoid it. Gun, I would get it. The hull isn't really bad, it's just kind of slow, and I mean, it depends on your preference really. Its armor does work. That next vehicle is just pathetic and sad. I don't even know why this is in the game. The turret or gun ain't even like, doesn't even exist, it's just straight up hull. The Type 63, the armor is terrible, it's not stopping nothing, bro. Usually vehicles like this will have the crew sitting behind the engine, which leads to the engine usually kind of just soaking up shots, which can save your crew. This one's just, bro, the crew is in front of the engine. It ain't stopping shit. Also, it just looks ugly, bro. This just looks like a loaf of bread. The only thing going for this is acceleration. The verdict, I would avoid it. Next, the second Japanese vehicle of the series, the Type 3 Chinu, with the 75mm Type 3. There is another gun for this, but that's in a different tier. I'll go over it maybe soon. I personally did not have a great time with this vehicle, maybe because this vehicle's on the slower side of tier 2 hulls. Its slow speed usually brings good armor in tanks, but this one's just different, I guess. Sure, you can get lucky and bounce up shots with its angles, but it's just kind of like bad and unreliable. The turret traverse speed is pretty slow. This vehicle is just not reactive at all. It's like driving a boat. The reload being like 1.0 is pretty good for the tier, but I mean, moving on to the gun. The gun is quite good though. This does have a good gun. It is like the gold standard for tier 2, one of the best. The gun's AP round is enough to deal with most vehicles at tier. It's gonna struggle with down tier parts, but the reload is quite long at 6.0, but it's really manageable. It's not too bad at all. Anyways, pros: good firepower. Cons: mediocre armor, poor mobility, slow turret. Verdict: I would avoid it. Hull, yeah, I'd avoid it. Turret, I'd avoid it. Gun, I would 100% get it. If you're looking to grind tier 2, this is the gun, man. The full set is just way too slow, and nothing really makes up for it. Here we have the famous Soviet BT-7. This tank is known for its mobility, and that feature is certainly implemented in game. The BT-7 has your average top speed for the tier, however it has the second best acceleration in the tier behind the Crusader. The Crusader is just crazy 0 to 60. That mobility does not come at a great cost forever. Like most track athletes, if you're fast, you're really skinny. Armor ain't even a thing on this vehicle. Don't even think about armor on this vehicle. Most machine guns will just find its way through your skin quite easily, even frontally. The turret is also just kind of doo-doo. I mean, speed's really the only thing going for it. The gun is usable, but it will struggle against more heavily armored tanks in the tier. Pros: good reload, great mobility. Cons: no armor, mediocre firepower. Verdict: avoid it. Hull: consider it. Turret: avoid it. Gun: avoid it. There are certainly better options that you can put on the hull to make a really fast light tank. Our next vehicle is actually a different like species or breed or variant or whatever of the BT-7. This is the BT-42. This is just the BT-7 with a different turret and a 100mm boom can, 114 to be exact. The turret is pretty bad besides the really nice reload it needs to support its massive gun. The 114mm finisher does exactly what the name implies. If you get a hit with a high explosive or heat round, your opponent probably won't be your opponent no more. The gun is extremely difficult to aim though, like past 100 meters, it's really slow velocity. The gun will take time to get used to. Range finding is highly recommended if you're shooting long shots, like anything past 100. Keep in mind, this high caliber and incredible firepower does come with a pretty long reload of 13 seconds. Pros: amazing firepower, great mobility. Cons: no armor, slow reload, slow turret, low velocity ammunition. Verdict: I consider it. Hull: I would consider it. Turret: I consider it. Gun: I would get it. It's fast, it's hard to use, but oh boy is it fun. Lob a huge high explosive shell at someone, get those one shots. Alright, here we have another hull without any of the other parts, like the Type 63. The LTE-3 is just an up-armored and slower L3 that you can put a turret on. The armor really doesn't do much besides like provide some auto cannon protection. I would consider the hull. It is not a bad hull. The armor can save you sometimes. Next up, we have the true beast, an actual tank at the tier. The AFS MK1B is just a thick metal box with like 2 horsepower. It is so slow. The armor is pretty good though. It frontally has like 100mm of armor all around with 2 pretty noticeable weak spots being the gun mounts. And a third one for one of the more powerful guns being like the driver's port. This thing comes with a not too shabby 0.9 reload, which allows you to mount your gun of choice and still having like a pretty quick reload. For second armor, it has a 37mm in the front, which is pretty hard to aim, but it still gets the job done. In the back, we actually have 2 20mm machine guns, which have a pretty good amount of coverage, and it can actually come in handy because this thing doesn't turn, remember, so yeah, they can defend your rear whenever somebody like flanks you or something. And pretty good penetration too. Its paired gun is again the tier 1 37mm, which I'm not even gonna talk about. It's just admit we've been over it like 30 times. Pros: good armor, lots of secondaries. Cons: snail mobility, lots of weak spots, no turret. Verdict: I would get it. The hull: I would get it. The turret doesn't have one. Gun: I would avoid it. This thing's pretty fun to play if you want to just feel like a moving fortress. Don't rely on the armor too much though. People will probably figure out the weak spots. Now our last 2 vehicles consist of a down tier 3 hull. So the first up is the M5A1. This is an incredibly agile hull. It is awesome to drive. It is incredibly responsive. I was like able to even just bait and dodge some shots with this mobility. It's crazy. As expected though, this mobility comes with like no armor. Its paired turret is pretty good as well though, having an incredibly handy roof mounted machine gun along with a pretty good reload multiplier of 0.98. The turret also traverses really quick. This thing is pretty fat for a light tank though, which kind of gives it a high profile. The paired gun is once again the 37mm M6, which I'm not going to talk about. Pros: amazing mobility, good reload, rooftop MG, good turret speeds. Cons: no armor, poor firepower. Rig: I'd get it. Hull: I would get it. Turret: I would get it. Gun: I'd avoid it, of course. The hull can be a pretty good light tank in its own tier given the right setup. In a down tier environment though, I'd rather swap out the turret for a quick tier 1 turret with a punchy tier 2 gun. Alright, last vehicle in today's video is the M3 Lead. This vehicle is quite the oddball. It is just like the AFS MK1B. It's just a moving castle with a lot of guns on it. But this one's just a lot fatter and the armor doesn't really make up for it. It's good, but it's unreliable. It will stop most of the guns at the tier, but the punchier ones like KWK 44, the 75mm, or the 75mm Type 3, it will get through your upper glacis, and of course if they aim, like, they know where to shoot, you're kind of cooked. Of course, with how fat this vehicle is, we can expect to have really poor mobility. It's not too bad, but it's pretty bad. Turret does come with some impressive armor for a tier 2, and it has above average stats with reload and traverse speed. Another thing to mention is the amount of crew in this vehicle. There's like 5 in total, which is a pretty large amount for a tier 2, and they're like separated into 2 compartments, which can make 2 shots at most. This makes it more survivable, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Moving on to firepower, the hull does come equipped with a secondary 75mm, which will blow everybody up if you get a shot off, but it's really hard to aim and it has pretty bad coverage. The main armament is, oh my god, multi-laser gun, you know what it is. Pros: good armor for down tier. Secondary 75mm, lots of crew. Cons: it's fat, doesn't move. Large profile, poor firepower. Verdict: I would consider it. The hull: I'd consider it. The turret: I would get it. It's so armored for tier 2. The gun, 100% avoid it. The hull isn't really worth playing its own tier. Its armor doesn't work and it's slow. The turret though is, oh my god, it's so good for tier 2. You know why the gun sucks though. Alright, that is the last vehicle. Thank you guys for watching, and like and sub for tier 3. I poured my soul into this video.